Welcome everybody to our Insurance Nexus webinar, The Moment of Truth, Deliver Customer-Centric and Seamless Insurance Claims. My name is Mariana Dumont and I'm the Head of New Projects at Insurance Nexus. And I would like to introduce you all to Craig Pulley, the moderator of this webinar. So Craig is the founding partner at Lime Street Digital Partners. The partnership was formed last year to focus on digital venture development across the insurance enterprise and marketplace. When I focus on InsurTech, Craig continues to ply his trade in a specialist loss adjusting and advisory business, Digital Risk Service in London, which focuses on cyber and technology insurance and risk management. During his 25 years in the industry, Craig has held executive and board roles in leading risk services firms, juggling roles in complex international claims operations while developing and delivering transformative digital projects in more than 30 countries worldwide. Craig is deeply immersed in the InsurTech ecosystem and has himself invested in a number of startups in the space. During his spare time, Craig can often be found competing in hackathon events in the UK and Europe, particularly where there is an insurance theme. This helps him keep fit and up to date with trends across a rapidly developing tech landscape and gives him an edge when advising investors and executives. Craig studied engineering at South Devon Tech prior to joining the insurance industry in 1991 and is a member of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Loss Adjusters. Please let's all welcome Craig. Thank you so much for your help today. I'll leave it up to you, Craig.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mariana, and good afternoon, everyone, along with my distinguished panelists. It's quite a nice and sunny day for a change here in London, 27 degrees and a very nice breeze. Wherever you are, I hope it's equally nice. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon here from London. My name is Craig Pulley, and thanks again to Mariana for the introduction. Joining me, I have a distinguished panel comprising first, Travis Bowles, who's joined us from, he's the Global Head of Casualty and Property at MS Amlin. I have Andrew Walker, Head of Claims for UK and Southern Europe at Berkshire Hathaway, also here in London. Manjit Rana, who's the CEO of Ingenin, a consultancy focused on innovation around the general insurance space. And Martin Cruz, the Head of Claims for Achmea, part of a large insurance group, one of the largest in the Netherlands. We're going to cover a number of topics around the customer experience in claims, including how claims departments need to change in order to become more customer-centric, what we're observing in the space currently as far as what the customers want and need, and what key investments and strategies you have underway currently across different parts of the business. I'm going to split this into two sections simply because we have various different perspectives from the more the wholesale and specialty space, which is the sort of dominion of the London market, and we have the more retail focused space in consumer lines. So I'm going to bring together two speakers in the first part of this. In the second part, we will focus a little bit more on consumer lines and understand who each party's respective customer is. First, I'm going to switch to my questions. So bringing Travis together with Andrew. Travis, as we've said, is the Global Head of P&C Claims at Amlin and Claims Director previously for Amlin Insurance, which, as we know, has been acquired by Mitsui Sumitomo and now is the MS Amlin Group. Prior to this, Travis had several roles, including Syndicate Director, Legal Risk and Compliance, and so forth. And before that, Travis was a solicitor at Reynolds Porter Chamberlain, or RPC, here in London, specializing in reinsurance and large complex insurance disputes in the London market. And he's an Antipodean, an Australian by origin, but like many here in London. Let me hand over to you, Travis, and ask you to introduce yourself and give us a few moments before of your thoughts of the current landscape before I ask you some questions.
Hello. It's hard to follow that introduction. That's a whistle-stop tour of what I've done. And in terms of probably worth explaining what P&C to MS Amlin means in my job. So I sort of we cover everything from pet insurance to the most complex subscription business. So we or at least I, cover a very wide base in terms of the business we write, and therefore, you know, the clients and customers and stakeholders that we have to engage with, be that from end policy holders of the most small C consumer right through to the largest industrial corporate risks, and brokers, both retail and wholesale, in between, and a lot of cover holders and MGA business. So I have a very wide sort of stakeholder network I have to service and keep happy. And in that sense, this is a very relevant topic for us in the P&C world and for MS Amlin specifically, and we're quite active in this sphere. Is there anything else you want me to add on?
No, I think that's fine. I think that's a great introduction, and I think it's important for some that may not be so familiar with the space that you have quite an emphasis, do you not, on delegated authority work. I think that's becoming an increasingly important part of your business, and I think in that particular area, it may be worth explaining just how the claims process works as far as that's concerned.
Equally, I can. So a lot of the business, and certainly from a London market perspective, but equally in our domestic UK and European businesses, we have part of that model delegated underwriting and claims. And what that adds is obviously complexity. So we do quite a lot of binders on an underwriting side. Some of those equally have claims authority, but equally we rely heavily on third parties, TPAs, when it's purely for open market business, and equally on delegated authority business. So it is a key part to our business model across a broad category of lines of business. Again, be that from consumer up to sort of mid-corporate and a lot of SME business. So that's a key part to our business. Now that obviously brings complexities and challenges. What we tend to don't do is have a direct-to-market sort of consumer brand or model. So a lot of the work we try and do to end customers has to be done through other people, which I, as I said, brings complexity, especially when we're not immune from having to get to grips with how technology impacts customer experience.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting challenges of our time, is that we have, a delegated authority business and cover holder business is an increasingly big and growing market. In fact, one of the largest growing segments, and that presents a different set of challenges. I'd be interested to know how you're currently kind of measuring claims performance. I mean, these people are effectively operating claims in your name. How are they monitored? And lastly, really, what technology initiatives have you got that are starting to come along into your department, and how are you adapting for it?
So if I take the kind of former or the in order. So what we really want to do is, and our sort of ethos is to treat our third-party relationships as if they're ourselves doing it. So and there's obviously a spectrum of what we can do, but broadly our view is, at the end of the day, they're our policy holders that we're covering, whether we do that through other people or not. We want to ensure that client experience and customer experience is as good as possible. So what we try and get towards is judging other people by the standards we judge ourselves, through usual that people would be familiar with, whether that's SLAs, soft triggers, qualitative outcomes. We try and do a lot of feedback and MI from third parties who are doing work for us. Now we have quite a lot we do business with through legacy reasons or new business. So it is quite a big beast and complex. Therefore, technology in that sphere is becoming ever more important to be able to do that. One is obviously a challenge to doing that is the sheer volume and regularity of that MI coming back is a challenge to then process. Now, we internally to do that and to then get good analytics out of that MI is a challenge. The volume we have makes it almost near impossible to do it manually. So we have been doing a lot of work in the sphere of how can we use technology to automate a lot of that processing and MI feedback, and equally both ways with our third parties. So we've been doing a lot of work in exploring and developing tools that can do that. One is to equally is, we do want to be easy to do business with from the TPA perspective, because they are important to us in terms of being our, sort of shop floor with end customers, which is important to us. So we want to be easy to do business with from their perspective. We don't see it as just a third party working for us. We try and work very much on a relationship level. So that is some of the, part of the technology broader work we've been doing is trying to get better at managing third parties. And there's many instances where we've tried to do that. Some successful, some not so successful.
Okay, that's brilliant. I think we all have a lot of data to deal with, and how we address that's good. And I think the how you're interconnected with your TPAs is, I'm sure that's going to be music to the ears of some of them if you're looking at projects that are going to help improve the general connectedness of your administrators downstream and upstream. Look, thank you very much for now, Andrew. I just want to remind everybody that if in the chat window, we'd like to invite your questions and get them sequenced. If they're for any of our speakers directly, can you please put the name that you'd like to point the question to, and I'll try and moderate those as they come through. So just say what for Travis or for Andrew, please put those through, and we'll pick it up and get it asked for you. Next, I'd like to move on over to Andrew at Berkshire Hathaway. I teased Andrew earlier that Berkshire's business in London, I kind of look at as the most well-funded startup in Europe at the moment, or well-resourced at least. Andrew's come across from a background, a long period of service at AIG. In 17 years of his time there was head of casualty claims at AIG, and now has really a very fresh opportunity to start with a greenfield kind of site there. But anyways, I'd like to pass over and introduce Andrew Walker. Very good afternoon, Andrew, and welcome. Please introduce yourself, take it away, and I'll have some juicy questions for you once you get started. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for that, Craig. Just want to check that you can hear me and that
yes, you're coming through just fine.
The rest of the group can too. Great. Yeah, and a point of order, I should just mention, Craig, that I'm the head of claims for Berkshire Hathaway Specialty Insurance in UK and South Europe. The head of claims for Berkshire Hathaway Group overall might be a bigger role. So just to confirm, it's Berkshire Hathaway Specialty Insurance.
Well, it's at least defined now, Andrew. I'm sorry about for any confusion there.
No, that's fine. But it is a fantastic opportunity here in London, and a very exciting one too. But it's great to have the opportunity to be on the call today. So thanks for the introduction, Craig. Very interesting to listen to Travis just then. I'm looking forward to hearing Martin and Manjit too, and getting their perspectives on customer experience and claims, hearing their ideas on enhancing that experience, whether it's through technology or in some other way. That's going to be really helpful to me, and I hope to those of us joining on the call. It's difficult to think of an industry that hasn't been transformed in the last 30 years or so, one way or another, by the march of technology. And I guess that financial services and insurance is no different. I'm a 30-year veteran, which probably makes me sound older than I feel, of commercial insurance claims. And I've seen insurance claims operations, I guess, chart a course from leather-bound, handwritten paper ledgers, representing the only record of claims transactions, and they were genuinely still being used when I started my career in the mid 1980s through green screen terminals, one machine per department of 20 or 30 claims handlers, through to electronic mail and the disbanding of typing pools, if any of us apart from me are old enough to remember typing pools, to spreadsheets, Windows-based software, then the introduction of ECF in the London market, coming forward to cloud-based technologies, the increased opportunity for data storage and sharing data capabilities, which leads us on to big data analytics. And Travis was talking about the challenge of analyzing whole swathes of management information. And then, of course, we've had the digital revolution really over the last, at least the last 10 years. iPhones hit the market, I think, in about 2006, and now smartphones are the portal through which we interact more and more with all aspects of daily life, whether it's social or retail or entertainment or even insurance. And then the drones and 3D printing and scanning and the emergence of blockchain, the Internet of Things, and many, many other technology-related topics. And you might say, Craig, and this audience might think when I mention it, that this is the predictable refuge of a person who struggles with some of the specific components of technologies. But I think it's worth reminding ourselves that claims technology should always be the tool through which we deliver and not an end in itself. Technologies facilitate extraordinary opportunities for us for process and system transformation, but they have to be steered by the principles and the philosophies which are at the heart of all of our business strategies, including the strategic imperative to be customer-centric, having our customers and their needs at the heart of our claims operational thinking. And it's that thinking, the strategic imperative to be customer-centric, it's that thinking over the last 30 years which has, I think, arguably been even more transformative than technology. I know at times that this industry of ours still suffers from a perception which is probably decades old now of reputation for making the claims process deliberately difficult, taking premium but being reluctant to pay claims. I think the truth is now much different, largely because as an industry we came to recognize a good few years ago that our policy products and the way we make good on a policy promise come to define and differentiate our industry and our individual brands. And as service culture develops in all industries, the need to build a relationship with customers, to understand their needs, treat them as partners, all of that became much clearer to us in insurance too. And so the claims servicing, the notion of claims as a back office or as an expense center, I think that's been consigned to history now alongside those handwritten ledgers I mentioned. And it's been replaced with the familiar language now of claim service as differentiator, claim service as customer service, claim service as the product. So I think the inevitable consequence of all of that, Craig, is that we see claims officers taking their seats on executive committees and around the boardroom table. Claims knowledge and expertise is hardwired now into business strategy meetings and into risk committees and investment committees. And claims teams are connected every day and at all levels to every other part of the business, underwriting, actuarial, other operational teams within the business too. So we've clearly seen technology revolution over the last 30 years, and it continues. But we've seen a revolution in the thinking around claims customer experience too, and I think they've gone hand in hand.
Well, those are interesting perspectives, and you do pit me to the finishing line there, because I've been in it only 25 years, Andrew, and I too remember those paper ledgers, and we had really bulk size containers of Tipex when we would have to make corrections even on those. So understood the data quality issue right from a very early stage. So, and that too is a challenge. But I think you're right. Over the years, it does occur to me that, boy, as a young adjuster going out and looking around for through a large A to Z type map and trying to find my way around, I think of young adjusters today with a GPS and a handheld device. They can go straight to the thing, and boy, that would have made a difference to me back in the day. But a lot of incremental changes happened. I wanted to ask, really, in your past and present claims leadership roles, I mean, what are the key services key ingredients to customer services, as far as your perspective is concerned?
Yeah, the key customer service ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. I mean, there are a number. I'll pick out 3 or 4 critical factors. I think the factors I think those who have the best understanding of customer service, the best understanding of customer centricity will have in place. The first, I suppose, most obviously, is to have a culture within your business of customer centricity. Now, I've participated in many debates over the years about corporate culture and how to create and sustain it and where it starts. For me, the culture of an organization has to be established early by its leaders, by its executives. It then has to be cascaded consistently through every layer of the business, so it quickly echoes back up and then into every corner of the firm and from every level of employee. You know, the things you stand for then become the familiar refrain from every part of the business. And each part will then have the same expectations of themselves as they do of others, and the same trust in the execution of the delivery of services by colleagues as they have in themselves. So I think that's true for customer centricity as it is for all other strategic principles. So you've got culture, and the second factor, I think, is discipline, actually. Excelling at customer service takes a lot of hard work, and so does sustaining it. Very often the reputation of a business, especially in insurance, is set by some simple, logical, but very important and impactful elements of our service. People being available, the acknowledgement of communications, just answering the phone, frankly, or communicating early and clearly, having tough conversations on day one rather than waiting until day 100 or later. You know, essentially doing the things that we say we will do and doing them in the right way. That takes discipline. Now, it's true that we are all looking to technology, and we're talking about technology today to cover more and more of the simple processes that we work with, the sort of the light touch and the low complexity processes. Those things that, if we use technology, then free time for valuable team resource that can be focused on, you know, client interaction and more complex claims work. But despite all of that, there is still a requirement for discipline. I think that's the second factor here, to service a claim the right way every time. It takes commitment, and it takes a shared ambition in all of your people to deliver service as the customer needs you to. Now, that leads me to the third factor, the third of 4 that I'll mention. The third factor is having the right people with the right values. And this is critical, I think, whether you have a new operation, and we're new at BHSI in London, or whether you're a fully established firm. All of us who are managers in the insurance industry, all rightly understand the need to grow our teams, to train them and to develop them. But it's just as important, arguably it's more important actually, to make sure we hire the right people, the people who share our core values like integrity and claims excellence and expertise, the ability to work as a team, to collaborate across functions. Getting the right team in place from the outset with the same core values is key. And then fourthly, I'll say that recognizing our role within claims, recognizing our role to listen and learn about and build a real knowledge of customers, so we're actually delivering what they need and not what we think they need. I think that's really important too. You know, we have to have at times the humility to accept that we learn something from every customer interaction, and the adaptability to deliver something that works for a diverse customer base. That should be an ambition, I think, for a truly customer-centric organization. So, you know, culture, discipline, people, the ability to learn and adapt, I'd say they are 4 the critical ingredients, as I see it, to great customer service or great customer centricity.
Okay, brilliant, Andrew. Thanks very much. I have another question for you, but I'm going to park it just now, and we're going to just move on over to the other side of the channel, actually. And I'd like to welcome Martin. He is at Achmea. This is for those that don't know, really one of the, I think it is the largest general lines insurer across most consumer lines and some light commercial in the Netherlands, the number one. It has a 200-year history or so, and has been consistently ranked very highly for its customer service. Martin himself has about 15 years experience, first joining Interpolis in the Netherlands, which then became a subsidiary of the larger group Achmea, and you know, as I say, goes back to 1811. This is a 24 billion in revenue company, actually, and largely a composite insurer across life, health, and non-life, with about 13,000 employees. Achmea is not so visible as a fronting brand, but it has representation both in the Netherlands and across 5 on their international territories. Turkey, Greece, Ireland, Slovakia, and Australia. So Martin has a pretty diverse role, looking at the key parts of the B to C parts of the business to consumer, so should be able to give us some direct consumer experience. And one of the highlights I picked up on before I hand over was in 2016, there was a surge event around a hailstorm this time of year last year, and they managed to shoulder about 30,000 claims and got those settled with about 300 million in value. So I'm going to pass over now to Martin. Goedemiddag, Martin, and thank you for joining us. Please pick it up for me.
Goedemiddag, Craig. Thank you very much. This is Martin Groot speaking from the Netherlands. Yes, I've been writing it down. It seems I'm the rookie. Only 15 years of working in the insurance industry. That doesn't apply to me much anymore, that I'm the youngest one, but there's still a bit of before the 15 years that I've been working in the industry. Before that, I worked at the service of our Queen, as we in the Netherlands, but also in England. I would say that I've been an officer in the Royal Dutch military, Royal Dutch Army. And after that, I did a few stints with different insurance companies. For example, Zwitserleven, Interpolis, of course, and right now I'm part of the Achmea group, where Interpolis is also one of the main brands within this company. Achmea itself is not doesn't sell insurances. It's the different labels, as we tend to call it, so the different main brands with which we try to work on the Dutch market. Like you said, we have a few worldwide projects, but our main aim is the Netherlands. We're the biggest one, that's true, and it also gives us some responsibility within the Dutch market. And I think I agree with Andrew. I think trust is the main issue for every insurance company, and for us it has been like that for 200 plus years. So it's not about the way you digitalize, it's about how you bring trust via automation or digitalizing your processes. If we look at the department that I'm responsible for right now, it's two things. One is the Interpolis Claims Center. That means for all business to consumer insurance policies, if there is a claim on that, our customers can call our department. And just to get a little bit of picture of how big that is, on a yearly base, we get about 450,000 claims of customers, and those claims represent about 400 million euros in payments each year. We tend to solve a claim within 3 contacts with a client, and that's on average. We do have a specific group of 25% of the claims that we can handle in just one call. So, for example, when a client has a problem, he wants to claim that, and he calls us. 25% of all our contacts, we can solve that in just one call, and after a few days, you already have your payment on your account. So that's something that we're quite proud of, and you can see that our customers are very satisfied with that. We within the whole company of Achmea, we tend to mark that with the Netto Promote Score. I think that's quite worldwide known method of grading your services, and our score is on a weekly basis is plus 45. So we're quite proud of that. One more thing about the claims, the 450,000 claims. In about 80% of the claims, we contact our clients via telephone, so we're actually a contact center, and about 85% of that, and about 15% we take online. And my goal is the strategic transformation to online claim handling, and we would like to build that up to about 20-30% of online straight through, and we think it will be about 40% of the claims that can be handled online in cooperation with a claims professional. So that's our main goal for the coming 2-3 years.
Martin, that's great. I think there's going to be some people on this line who get quite excited about the tech. I'm one of those, and I understand that you've been working. You have an innovation lab, Lab 55. You are part of the B3I consortium, which some of us in the market know about around blockchain. You have chatbots, you have WhatsApp, you have online submission. Tell us what's working.
Starting off with the first one, Lab 55. Actually, that's part of of a program in which I cooperate, but not too much. But I know we're quite proud of that because it's partly employees of Achmea who are part of that Lab 55, and it's also startups. So we try to learn from all those new ideas that new people bring, and we do that in a way that they interact and work together on different projects. So it's a kind of a mix of people from the outside, especially younger ones, and employees of Achmea working together. Yes, that's Lab 55. If one of you would have the question, is there anything that you're already trying internally? So is there something that you could pick up? Not of yet. We have quite a few startups. I think that's about 15 in different stadiums, but there's nothing yet that we use specifically for my department. But there's a lot of promising things we see. Taking the other one, blockchain, I know I'm not cooperating in that part of our company, so I can't tell you very much about that. WhatsApp is a very nice one. We have different departments on business to clients. For example, marketing, we got sales, we got claims, and all 3 of them should work together and try to work together to get one customer journey. But it's almost impossible to get it right in a big company because all departments try to get some innovation. by themselves. So, for example, our sales department does have a WhatsApp, but the claims department I'm responsible for doesn't have WhatsApp yet. But we're working together with the sales department. So when there is a question about a claim or there is a claim whatsoever, we made some kind of procedure that the customer who got this question via sales can pull that through to claims. We have 3 brands within the business to client department, claims department. 2 brands already use WhatsApp as part of their claims customer journey, and 1 brand co-ops with the sales department.
All right, Martin, I'm seeing you're not seeing, of course, because you're on a connected call, but there's quite a lot of questions coming in. I have to get to Manjit now, but for the moment, thank you very much. And I can see already quite a few questions directed at you. So just hold on the line there, and we'll get back to you with some of these direct questions. But right now, thank you very much. Manjit, good afternoon. Last but by no means, sir, are you least? We commingle in the insurtech space. We like all the new and fun stuff, and we get to work on the more leading edge of things. And you do a lot of work around consulting with existing major GI insurers, usually on the property and direct space, facing the consumer. I wonder if you might bring yourself into the conversation and tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you're seeing at the moment.
Hi, Craig. Thank you for that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, indeed.
Perfect. Excellent stuff. Hi, everybody. As we're sticking to the theme of how long people have been in the industry, so in September, I will be celebrating my 30th year working in the insurance sector. And I must admit, it's probably been the most fascinating time I've ever experienced. This industry never fails to amaze me at the directions we often go in, and kind of some of the interesting propositions we come up with. So over the years, typically I've worked on the insurer carrier side, I've worked on the technology company side. I've been asked to help create new propositions, and along the way, I think I'm probably on my 10th startup. So I have a slightly unusual career in insurance in that it's not all been sitting inside a carrier. It's quite often looking at it from the outside. So currently, I run an innovation consultancy purely focused on the insurance space. We set up Ingenin after we we created the AXA Innovation Hub in the UK. And typically where we sit in the marketplace is, I like to think that we help companies solve traditional challenges using new and creative thinking, which may include using disruptive technologies, may include using next gen business models, but typically I think the big difference is that we're generally looking at challenges from the consumer perspective rather than from the inside of an insurance company. So we get given some pretty interesting projects to work on. We're quite fortunate. So we get things like, how do you identify drivers falling asleep on the motorway? How can you reduce the number of uninsured drivers on the road? How do you create a next generation gadget product? And for that, incidentally, we did a bit of work for a US insurer, and they're looking at launching a new product which they believe will be worth about $100 million a year globally, and all of that was done with our thinking in the background. So that's kind of my background. And kind of observations around the industry and kind of around the claim space. There's a lot of similarity to what the other panelists are seeing. But generally, I think the three key themes that we see: A, changing consumer behavior is a big thing. So whereas before, I think most insurers view as, as long as our service is better than our competitors, we're on a positive slope. I think now consumers don't really compare insurers with each other. That you're being compared with other services that they're used to dealing with on a daily basis, like Amazon as example. So if I order 5 items through my Amazon account and I decide tomorrow morning, because they're due to arrive tomorrow morning, that I'm not going to be in, I need to shift the time or the location, I alert Amazon through my app, and it's all taken care of automatically. Yet if I have an insurance claim and I have several suppliers that are involved in helping me to settle that claim, it's just complete chaos. And quite often I will still have a carpet fitter trying to turn up and replace a carpet before the builders have finished the building work, which to consumer is very confusing as to why we, as an industry, we can't fix those kind of things. So I think the consumer behavior is a big thing. I think the other thing is insurtechs. I think current estimates are there are some 2,500 insurtechs out there looking to evolve, revolutionize, disrupt virtually all aspects of the insurance world. A lot of them are focused around the claims space, just generally because that's typically where people feel the pain of dealing with an insurance company, and therefore they're quite interested in trying to find a solution to that. I think the third area, which could potentially be more dangerous to us as an industry, is players in the adjacent industries. So I'm kind of thinking utility companies, car manufacturers, large new generation companies like Apple, like Amazon, for instance. In order for us to be able to come up with solutions that consumers are more excited and engaged with, I think we kind of need to create propositions that are more engaging. So one of the key topics we talk about is, rather than insurance companies designing their products from a safety net type perspective, maybe we need to change our thinking so that we're designing them more from a guardian angel type perspective. So rather than worrying about how we settle claims, can we create services or propositions where we prevent the claims happening in the first place? And therefore we have a different type of engagement with the consumer. Does that help, Craig?
Thank you, Manjit. I think one of the topics that we did have to discuss here, I have to say we're getting a real flood of questions in, but I did want to get this one in quite quickly if I could. You mentioned Amazon, and I think the Amazon buying experience, whether they make money out of it or not, they're determined to deliver the customer experience that we want. And what are you seeing on the sort of claims supply chain side of things? I think it's a very strong feature in the UK GI space, at least, that supply chain and replacement goods and fulfillment is done through many channels and contractor channels on repairs. What are you seeing? What are you seeing across the GI space on the claim supply chain, so to speak? Can you give us that in just a couple of minutes, if you could, please?
Yeah, sure. I think firstly, there's virtually every major carrier, every major insurer it has or is in the process or is about to implement, go through a claims transformation program, whether implementing a guidewire platform or something similar, and spending tens of millions of pounds on going through that change. And yet I don't see anybody providing a better, more consumer-friendly settlement process. And I think the challenge is because we kind of leave the thinking about how we connect the suppliers into that process till right at the end. And as a result, we're still busy trying to find ways of finding a simple way to instruct our suppliers. But fundamentally, we kind of need to bring the suppliers into the claims ecosystem so that different suppliers involved in a claim get to share the relevant information that they need to see, so that so they know when one supplier is going in, and therefore when the next relevant supplier needs to go in, so that it feels like one joined up service for the consumer. Obviously, when you have products like when you have carriers like Hiscox, where they're quite happy to have a human that will actually project manage those interactions with the policyholder, that makes life a little bit easier. But that's quite hard to deliver when you have a very high volume, when you have very high volumes of claims. So I think that's one area where we've not really delivered as an industry. We've not really solved the problem using technology very well so far. But it's certainly something that I think it is areas where we can learn lessons from the likes of Amazon, for instance, where they very clearly have solved that problem.
I lost everybody's questions there for a moment, but they've all come back to me. And look, thanks everyone for the questions that you have asked. A lot of focus on the tech, and not surprising that that's a current theme. I've again lost these questions, so let me just try and bring them back. Bear with me, folks. I've lost again the questions that were being asked. I'm going to try and get them back up again. Okay, thank you. Right, let's go through these. We have a lot of exotic names too. We've got Mandy Lowe, you've asked a couple of questions here. I think these actually go right back to Travis and Andrew's sessions. The question, first of all, I'm going to put this to Travis. How are data analytics deployed into the quicker and easier seamless claim processing? How can we get data analytics into the process?
Not easily. I think if the first point is, I think what we're trying to do is, and I'd say is, the way not to do it in we take, and the approach we don't take is to try and do a big bang, and a sort of boil the ocean, all those expressions. I think then it becomes way too hard. Our starting point, in all this, and picking up on some of the other themes is start with the problem or the issue or the outcome you want rather than the tech. So the danger is, I think, is there's shiny bits of kit and things that come out new, and you kind of, let's get one of those. The thing I think we've learned is you start with the issue or problem or outcome, as I said, you want to get, and then work backwards from how can I get it. So, the thing of we really want is we want to know as quickly as possible, and you come back to what I talked about using even TPAs or third parties. We still want to know how the claims service, as whether provided by us or other people, is impacting, clients and stakeholders. And we want to know that as quickly as possible, and we want to know where that goes wrong, where that goes well, what we're seeing, etc. So that's our starting point. Now we work back from them, well, how can we do that? And that's where we've then started to try and use technology, where whether that's getting automated data feeds through, you can't tell, people have different core systems. How can we make sure that they can talk to one another? How can we robotize things that we can then transport to things we have, that then we can build some technology around collecting and then manipulating the data. And we've developed some tools and bought some tools about then manipulating data. So I think it's kind of, there's lots of different, kit you can get, but I think the way to crack that nut is to start with the problem, not the technology.
I get that, and I'm a big champion of that. Start with the problem and work your way through it from that, and see what the tech can solve. I think we are led by the shiny functions, the shiny promise, and we have to actually get to grips with.
Yeah, and I think the way we learn is kind of, and I mentioned, your guide wire and whatnot. You can go out and spend all the money in the world, because there's new kit out there and you think it's going to solve all your problems, and it won't. So I think you need to be flexible in the way you deploy technology in the problems and outcomes. You know, always start with the outcome and then deploy technology as you see fit.
Okay, excellent. Travis, I'm going to come to you, really just following down the order. This has actually been directed to you and to Andrew. Perhaps you can take care of it for both on behalf. But Andrew, if you wanted to jump in, by all means do so. I think the question is, what is your reliance on external partners? This is from Stuart Wright, and he wants to know what the reliance is on external partners for innovation, skills, strategy compared to in-house teams. And I think there's a slightly blended question here is, you know, are you going outside? Are you doing it from within? What are your techniques so far, and what are your experiences? If you can answer that one for us, please. Travis?
So I mean, we do a mix of both. So, you know, we don't have a, you know, 1,000-person call center model. That's not what we do. So we do rely on third parties, and we, you know, for the short to medium term, we don't see a change in that. So we look at both ways of where we can work with, you know, more strategic third parties to whether, you know, co-develop or have them develop or support sort of end, you know, client-facing, you know, better experience through technology, and that's through things people are familiar with, whether that's apps, you know, portals, you know, all that type of thing, you know, video streaming, you know, straight through payments, all that type of stuff. Desktop technology, in the field technology, and then right through to then how, you know, then how do we interact with them? So, you know, whether that's technology we have as a, you know, conduit through ourselves, which we may develop and we leverage through, you know, things through outside of claims. You know, what we don't do at MS Amlin, the way we're not trying to do it, is to just have a claim-specific technology. Our technology sort of program we're developing, we try and see where we can leverage ideas, say, in other areas, and use them in other areas for our business, because similar problems can come up. So we kind of have a two-strand approach, if I've explained that correctly, of, you know, stuff that's good for us we can use, and equally through third parties.
All right, let me bring Andrew in, as I'd actually meant to do before. I'm sorry, Andrew, but this is from Sarah Bradshaw, and she's asking, what innovations are there in the claims arena? I guess I kind of saw it as an arena, actually, if you're a gladiator sort of person. But anyways, which can offer efficiency, but also doesn't lose the emotive aspects of a claims handler can offer, the customer-centric offering. I guess this is the blended strategy approach of you have a greenfield opportunity there to build a whole bunch of new stuff if you want to, and you know what works. Why don't you cut us an idea of what you're looking at in the claims arena for efficiency, without losing the customer touch?
Yeah, thanks for that, and a good question from Sarah. I mean, you're right, Craig. We do have an opportunity here at BHSI to understand the challenges and then take on technology that gets us to the best outcome, rather than trying to mold or change some pre-existing technology. So much in the way that Travis was describing, we've got the opportunity here to start with the challenge and then develop a technology solution to address it. Personally, in BHSI, I've come into a company which already has a solid foundation in terms of a claim system platform, which is going to be something that we can build from to better service our customers. I don't think we're yet in the area where, certainly not in UK and Europe, where we're thinking of deploying artificial intelligence or robotics into any of our processes. But I know that in certain lines across the market in the UK and in certain tasks, those processes are being deployed, and those systems are being deployed where there's kind of a artificial intelligence built in through algorithms to enable almost a self-service approach to claims and an automated outcome. You'd expect that that's in the lower touch, probably a lower complexity element of claims. So we'll look at that if we come to a more lower value transactional kind of claims process at some point in the future. But for now, we're not really in that AI robotics space.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not wishing to cut you off. I've got 4 minutes, though, according to our schedule, and about 40 questions in front of me. So, if I may, I'm going to thank you for that, and I'm going to move to Martin, if you don't mind. A couple of questions have come up both by Darius Medora, and also similarly from Jane Carlisle Leahy, I beg your pardon. And these are around data analytics and countering fraud. Have you got any initiatives underway? I mean, what you can talk about at least. And are you seeing some new toys coming onto the claims floor?
I don't know if there are new toys, but we're definitely busy with something. We've been trying to fraud claims to get them via the contact with the claims professional, but that was a hard thing to do, because if you, as a claim professional, you have to be client orientated, customer orientated. You have to make a decision whether the claim is correct. You have to sometimes you have to try and get something like what's the amount of money that we have to pay. So there's a lot to do for a claims professional, and that makes it hard to also look at the customer in a way like, could you say that this is fraud? So since 3 months now, we have software that we use to pick up fraud, and we use different kind of data to try and determine whether a claim could be fraud or not. In the end, it's always a claims professional educated or specialized in fraud who has to do an investigation, and he or she has to make contact with the client or investigate more when the software says this could be wrong. So actually, we do have I think it's very basic right now, but we're trying to make it more specialized, looking at customer claims via a different perspective as in fraud. Yes.
Sorry, thank you very much. I'm simply not going to be able to get through all of the questions here, but some of them have been directed to individuals. If I may, for our speakers, and with the help of our friends at Insurance Nexus, I think we might try and pick these up offline and get them answered. Give you an opportunity to stick a paragraph or two in under them. I simply was overwhelmed by the number of questions that have come through. And I'm going to pass back now to Mariana to thank our great speakers. Thanks to our audience, of which there are several hundred of you, for all your great questions. And I'm sorry we didn't get through them all. We simply couldn't. But it gives us an excuse to get together once again and go through it. But thank you all very much indeed. I'll sign off now.
Well, thank you so much, Craig, and thank you to all the speakers that have joined us. I am sure you all enjoy their insights just as much as I did. Just to let you all know that this webinar was run up as part of our Connected Claims Europe conference, Europe Summit, that will be running on October 24th and 25th in London. And we'll be having those 4 speakers plus Craig, which lovely moderate this webinar for us, joining us for the conference as well. So if you regarding the questions, as Craig mentioned, we'll be happy to follow up on you and forward the questions to the speakers. Hopefully we can get a feedback for all of you. But thank you again for joining us today.